Well, I mean, I would have said before the economic crisis that the post-Kyoto Protocol is the one most likely to be overcome because, frankly, both Obama and McCain agreed that we need to sign a post-Kyoto Protocol. They agreed on the science. But now I'm worried that Europe's not going to get its act together given the crisis and come up with a post-Kyoto agreement. Look at what the Italians are doing. Look at everyone backing off these very high standards. Whether they can live up to it really is a European thing. If they come up with a common one, the Americans may go forward, but the economic crisis has really screwed up what was really an easy goal. As to what's not going to be done, the hard power stuff. Iran, first and foremost. Given this economic crisis, the only way to have a common position on Iran is an investment freeze, meaning Germany and Japan have to freeze investment with Iran to avoid a bombing. Is it even remotely possible that we get Deutsche Bank, my bank, to stop trading, investing in Iran or any other investment firm, given the crisis now? I think it becomes almost an impossibility. So that leaves us with existential choices. If we don't have an economic stick that works, the choices are really only with Iran. Accept it, let them have a bomb, accept the arms race that's going to occur in the Middle East, or bomb them. And the Europeans obviously are not going to be for bombing them. The Americans are then placed in an agonizing position where we have two terrible options. I think we will be in favor under Obama, and I think he'll win. It's before tonight. I think he'll win. 350 electoral votes. I want to go on record saying that. Big. But I think they won't bomb. But then we have a whole host of problems, including nuclear brinksmanship in the Middle East. So while Europeans may think doing nothing is always the answer, doing nothing is going to have huge problems, including destroying the non-proliferation regime. So frankly, there's a lot of problem with that issue, a lot of problem with Afghanistan, a lot of problem, frankly, with a lot. We can't blame hapless old George W. Bush anymore. Obama agrees with Europe, and the problem is he's going to ask a lot more of it. It's up to the Europeans to actually come up with policies now. I'm not convinced. I fear that Europe will do not much of anything. I'm already hearing from Germans every time I mention Obama needs to move forward with trade issues, with Afghanistan, with Iran, with restarting the post-Bretton Woods financial system. I hear, oh, look, we have elections, don't come back to us in another year. Well, we live in democracies, we're always going to have elections. Obama is going to demand far more of Europe because he believes in a multipolar, multilateral world with America having a lesser but still primary role. Well, if that's the case, Europe's going to have to do more, not sit back and critique American policies, but come up with some of their own. I think Obama's people will be very interested to hear what Europe has to say.
The one issue where there's going to be a lot of progress is climate change. Obama has made clear that he not only recognizes that climate change is in part man-made, but that he's also very willing to do something about it. There's been talk that Al Gore might get a position in the administration to work on climate change, and I think that the US is going to take an important position on that subject and come closer to Europe on that. One of the big disagreements that we've had for the past 10 years really was on the International Criminal Court, and I don't think that is going to go away anytime soon, because that's a treaty that is very controversial in the United States, and Europe has come out in favor of the International Criminal Court very strongly. The United States has come out against it. The position of the United States will be toned down a little bit. It will come a little closer to Europe, but they're not going to become part of that treaty anytime soon.
I would hope that the next president takes on some of the issues that are important to the Europeans, such as climate protection or creating a stable, rule-based world order. I would expect, though, that many of the frictions in transatlantic relations will persist, that these are structural in a sense that they come from American perceptions on how security policy, international economy should be organized, and the Europeans are not really going with them. They come, first of all, from the experience of 9/11, an experience that the Europeans didn't share as much as the Americans. They come from an understanding that the United States must position itself as a superpower in relation to other aspiring superpowers like China. And these are perceptions that the Europeans don't share. So if there should be an agreement, or should be a development for a strategic agreement between the United States and Europe, it must come from a not too big area of common interests and understandings and perceptions. Now, the question is, will a new president with a different style, a different way of communicating its issues to the Europeans, as George W. Bush was, will it be easier for such a president to win over the allies in Europe for tasks like solving Afghanistan, for tasks like fighting terrorism? Any of these issues that are contentious right now could be solved when this kind of like spiteful attitude of many Europeans with regard to the Bush government is taken away. So my hope is not that a new president will simply, by being president, solve all these problems, but my hope is that a different way of communications allows to develop more common ground.